All right, Cowboys Nation, I need you locked in for this one. Because what's happening right now in Dallas, it's not normal. It's not business as usual. This could be a franchised offseason. We're talking about a situation that honestly feels confusing, risky, and a little bit dangerous at the same time. Because on one side, you've got a young superstar wide receiver coming off a monster season. I'm talking top 3 in receiving yards, 1,400 plus yards, 9 touchdowns, instantly becoming one of the most explosive weapons in the entire NFL. And what did the Cowboys do? They hit him with the franchise tag. Sounds good, right? But here's where things get crazy. There are real whispers around the league that Dallas could still trade him anyway. Yeah, you heard that right. So now, let me ask you, Cowboys fans, why would you tag a player worth over $27 million just to potentially ship him out? Are we talking about a contract dispute or something deeper going on behind the scenes? And don't forget, we've seen this movie before in the NFL, when a team tags a superstar receiver and then suddenly, boom, he's gone. Now, at the same time, while this situation is unfolding, the Dallas Cowboys just created around $66 million in cap space. Let that sink in. $66 million. That's not just flexibility. That's a statement. And according to reports, Dallas is ready to go all in. We're talking about possibly bringing in a dominant pass rusher who led the entire NFL in sacks just a year ago, a guy who finished second in Defensive Player of the Year voting, or making a blockbuster trade for a relentless defensive monster, one of the most feared edge rushers in football today, the type of player that can completely change the identity of your defense overnight. And let's be real for a second. This defense was a disaster in 2025. One of the worst units in the league, couldn't pressure the quarterback consistently, couldn't stop the pass, and it cost this team a playoff spot. So now everything is on the table. You might lose your breakout offensive star, but in return, you could be building a defense that finally matches the energy of this offense. That's the gamble. That's the tension. That's where we are right now. So the real question is, would you trade a superstar receiver to fix this defense, or do you pay him whatever it takes and build around the offense? Because coming up next, I'm going to break down exactly what's happening behind the scenes, the real chances of a trade, and who those defensive targets really are. But before we go any further, if you're a real Cowboys fan, go ahead and smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. And drop your take in the comments. Are you keeping him or making the boldest move of the offseason? Now, let's talk about what's really going on here. What just happened? The franchise tag decision. So here's the situation. The Cowboys placed the franchise tag on Pickens for the 2026 season. That means he's set to earn $273 million this year. Dallas controls his rights, and they have until July 15th to sign him long-term. On paper, this looks like a team saying this is our guy. But behind the scenes, it's not that simple, because according to multiple reports, trade rumors are still alive. Wait, trade him after tagging him? Yes. And if that sounds crazy, it's because it kinda is. But it's not unprecedented. This is exactly what the Green Bay Packers did with Davante Adams back in 2022. They tagged him, then traded him to the Las Vegas Raiders. So the blueprint is there. And now the question becomes, are the Cowboys about to follow that same path? Why is this even a conversation? Let's be real for a second. You don't even think about trading a guy like Pickens unless something major is at play. Because look at what he did in 2025. 93 receptions, top 10 in the NFL, 1,400 plus receiving yards, third in the league, 9 touchdowns. That's elite production. Not good, elite. And this was his first season in Dallas. You finally found a true WR1 for Dak Prescott. He wasn't, and now you're thinking about moving him. That's where things start to get complicated. The real reason? Money talks. Let's not dance around it. This is about money. Pickens is projected to command over $30 million per year, around 4 years, $122+ million. That's superstar wide receiver money. And the Cowboys, we all know how they operate. They don't always love massive guaranteed deals, long-term financial risk, paying top dollar unless they're 100% sure. So tagging him gives them time, leverage, options, including a potential trade, front office chess move, or huge mistake. Now this is where I want to slow things down, because this decision could define the Cowboys' future. If they extend Pickens, you're locking in a top-tier WR1, prime years, production, chemistry with Dak. And let's be honest, this offense needs him. Without Pickens, who scares defenses? If they trade him, you better get multiple high draft picks or a proven star player. Because if you trade a guy who just gave you 1,400 yards, you can't miss on that return. You just can't. My real take, as a diehard Cowboys fan, I'm going to be honest with you. If Dallas trades George Pickens, I'm going to have serious questions about this front office, because we've seen this before. letting elite talent walk or moving on too early and then spending years trying to replace them. Pickens is young, productive, explosive, already proven in this system. That's rare. That's not something you gamble with. But there is one scenario that makes sense. The only way I understand this move is if the relationship behind the scenes isn't perfect, or they don't believe he's worth 30 plus per year. If that's the case, then okay, maybe you explore options. But if it's just about money, that's dangerous. Bigger picture? What are the Cowboys building? This move tells us something deeper. The Cowboys are still figuring out their identity. Are they going all in to win now, or trying to balance the cap and rebuild smartly? Because trading Pickens, that's not a win-now move. That's a reset move.
Now, for the first time in a long time, the Dallas Cowboys actually have money to spend. I'm talking about $66 million in cap space. But before that, there is a question. How did the Cowboys create $66 million? Here's how this all happened. The Cowboys restructured contracts from Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and Tyler Smith. And boom, now $66 million in cap space. And let's be real, you don't clear that kind of money unless you're planning something big. In the last season, defense was one of the worst in the league, struggled against the run, couldn't generate consistent pressure. Secondary was constantly exposed. So what does that mean? Every dollar of that $66 million should be going to defense. And that's exactly where these two blockbuster moves come in. Move number one, sign Trey Hendrickson. Cowboys Nation, this is the type of move we're talking about. Trey Hendrickson is 4X Pro Bowler, finished second in Defensive Player of the Year voting, led the NFL with 17.5 sacks in 2024. Let that sink in. 17.5 sacks. That's game record production. Now, yes, he's 31, missed time in 2025, 7 games. But here's the truth. When he's on the field, he dominates. And right now, he might be the best defensive player available in free agency. Would this make sense for Dallas? Absolutely. Because what do the Cowboys desperately need? Pass rush. Pair Hendrickson with the existing talent, and suddenly QBs have no time. Secondary gets help. Entire defense improves instantly. But here's the catch. He won't be cheap. And we all know Jerry Jones doesn't love paying older players with injury history. So the question is, will Dallas finally take a risk to win? Move number two. Trade for Maxx Crosby. Now this is the blockbuster. Maxx Crosby is 28 years old, prime years, one of the best edge rushers in the NFL. Put up in 2025, 10 sacks, 20 QB hits, 45 tackles. And honestly, those numbers don't even tell the full story, because Crosby is constant pressure. He changes games without even recording a sack. Why this move is different? This isn't just a signing, this is a statement. Because if Dallas trades for Crosby, they're saying, we're going all in right now. And think about this, he wants to play for a contender. Cowboys have an explosive offense. Defense just needs a leader. Crosby becomes that guy. Hendrickson or Crosby? Which one should Dallas choose? All right, Cowboys Nation, let's break this down. Hendrickson, proven, elite sack production. Free agent, no trade needed. Slightly older, some injury concern. Crosby, younger, more versatile. Requires trade assets. Long-term cornerstone. My take? If I'm Dallas, I go for Maxx Crosby. Why? Because he fits the timeline. He's still in his prime. He can anchor this defense for years. Hendrickson is amazing, but Crosby is a foundation. The bigger picture? Is this finally the year? Here's what it all comes down to. The Cowboys created $66 million for a reason. They know this roster is close, but the defense, it's been holding them back. If they land a dominant edge rusher, fix defensive gaps, and let the offense cook, then guess what? This team is right back in contention. But here's the warning. We've seen this before. Cap space, big expectations, and then conservative moves, missed opportunities.